seen in the previous couple warrants now? Has that changed?
I believe it's the same. Let me double check. Yes, it's the same.
Again, you've still got the same research language in there that we've talked about before, correct?
Yes.
And now, in your oral testimony, your question about looking for finding research on this MacBook Pro into child deaths by being left inside vehicles, correct?
Yes.
And that was followed up with the question, is there any other purpose? And you responded, no, just related to that. You remember?
Yeah, I believe I was referring to anything related to research on child deaths and in-car vehicle stuff.
So you told the magistrate specifically, the only thing I want to look into this MacBook Pro is related to research into child deaths by being left inside vehicles. Correct?
Yes.
Search warrant 14-W0608 is for a Lenovo ThinkPad that's located inside the vehicle of Mr. Harris, correct?
Yes, sir.
Again, the affidavit, we're dealing with the same affidavit in this one as we have in the past couple of search warrants, correct?
Yes, sir.
You recall in your oral testimony to the magistrate being asked what the purpose of this warrant was?
Yes.
And did you have in your notes what your response to that was?
I got the purpose of search warrants to examine documentation and search engines regarding the comments made by Justin and his wife about researching child deaths in vehicles and any other research related to that.
And so your sole purpose, or your response to the magistrate was, the purpose was as it relates to this characterization of them researching things, correct?
That's what I said in regards to the researching child deaths.
And then, but you also then ask, and any research related to that, correct?
Yes.
And did you have any specific information of any other research that you would be looking for that was related to that?
I think I was referring to animals inside vehicles or anything like that, if you want an example of something else that could be related to that.
Okay. Well, what I want to know is what you told the magistrate. Did you specify what any other research related to that was?
I said any other research related to that.
All right. And that was researching child deaths, not animals, correct?
I said researching comments, or regarding the comments made by Justin and his wife regarding researching child deaths in vehicles and any other research related to that.
So it's simply referring to child deaths, not animals, correct? That's what you told the magistrate.
I said any other research related to that. Any other research related to child deaths
Okay. All right.
in vehicles.
Very good. And as to this, this particular device, again, you didn't even have any evidence that Mr. Harris had ever used that device,
The Lenovo,
correct?
it was in his vehicle.
I understand that. Did you have any evidence that it was his or his wife's, or for that matter, Cooper's?
I knew it was in his possession, in his vehicle when his son died.
Okay, and that's all you knew about it, correct?
Yeah, that's what I knew about it.
You didn't have any evidence of any hiding of child abuse or child neglect or homicide or anything like that being done on this computer?
No, I don't know what kind of sites he had gone to on the computer.
Right. You just wanted to look at it and see what you might find on it, correct?
Based on his statements in the interview and his wife's, yes.
Okay. They're statements that they'd seen something on the news that led you to want to look on their computer.
News, and that they've had, he watched that vet video.
That's right. He saw a vet video on the internet. Did you happen to go on the internet to see if you could find that video before you saw the search warrant?
No.
SW 0609. Again, dealing with the same affidavit that ends with the allegation that Ms. Harris has made statements regarding researching. Same affidavit we've seen the past 3 warrants, correct?
Yes.
There's no new information that you're providing to the magistrate on this application of what you've been providing for the past 3 warrants?
No.
Now, on this, you're providing oral testimony in this warrant. Do you recall, or do you have notes there to refresh your memory that you now told the magistrate that there were statements they made regarding internet searches on child deaths and how long it takes in the heat of the vehicle regarding child deaths? Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you did not indicate to the magistrate there was something separate about a vet video and animals dying in a car, correct?
Not in that oral testimony.
In other words, there was no information that you had at that time or that you gave to the magistrate that either Mr. Harris or Ms. Harris had researched how long it takes a child to die in a vehicle, correct?
I gave them the affidavits with their statements that I have in there, or
Your characterization of their
yes.
statements?
And in the first search warrant, 0605, I'd referenced that temperatures for animals or small children to pass away in a vehicle. So I'd referenced animals in that first search warrant, which was used for the rest of them.
And again, other than being in his vehicle, did you have any evidence whatsoever that Mr. Harris had used that computer, had been on that computer, that he even owned that computer other than it being in his car?
It was in his car that day of the incident.
Search warrant 0610 is for an Apple iPad. You also indicated this was located in the vehicle.
Yes.
And again, the affidavit portion, written affidavit is the same.
Yes, sir.
In your oral testimony this time, you spoke again about what you term as their researching in-car deaths, correct?
So I put any search Harris or Leanna had done regarding in-car vehicle deaths, how hot it needs to get, any kind of research related to the incident, stored on device, or that the device was used to research.
I want to listen to the oral testimony, and I have a question on the other side of it, please, sir.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in the case on pending before this court, when all the information in your application is and will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name and your agency for the record.
Detective Sean Murphy, Cochran Police Department.
This is for docket E010647. This is a companion case to application E010642, for which a oral testimony oral testimony was recorded in detail concerning the facts surrounding this incident. In this particular application, you are asking to search an Apple iPad, and this was recovered from the vehicle Justin Harris was driving with the execution of warrant number 14 SW 0598. Is this correct?
Yes.
And if you just tell me the purpose for searching the Apple iPad?
Search the Apple iPad for any research. Mr. Harris or Mrs. Harris had done regarding in-car vehicle deaths and how hot it needs to get, and any kind of research related to the incident. That could be stored on the device or which device was used to research.
Okay. And after oral testimony was given, received, and recorded, I do find that probable cause exists to grant the search warrant. I'm going to grant the search warrant. I ask that you sign your application. I'm going to stop the recording.
Now, that about 2-minute oral testimony, you did not advise the magistrate, you never told the magistrate that in fact Ms. Harris had only said she had seen a news report about children dying, correct?
Correct.
But when asked about the purpose here, now you're telling the magistrate that you want to research you want to look for research that either one of them did regarding in-car vehicle deaths, correct?
I guess that Mr. Harris or Leanna had done regarding.
And how hot it needs to get. And any search related to the incident that could be stored on the device, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Had absolutely no evidence that, first of all, Ms. Harris had ever been on any device other than seeing a news report, correct?
She may have watched the news report on the device.
Did you have any evidence that she'd ever used that device?
I don't know if she'd used it or not. It's in their vehicle.
You had no evidence that she'd ever been in possession of it, correct?
Not at that time.
That's what you were hoping to look through it and see if you might could find some evidence that you could then use against either Mr. Harris or I guess even possibly Ms. Harris at that time, correct?
I was looking for evidence to confirm or deny the statements that were made by them regarding researching in-car deaths.
Statements that they never made. They never said they were researching.
They never stated research, but statements that he had watched news reports on this, also that she had watched news reports on this, and that he had viewed a vet video on the internet regarding how hot it gets in a vehicle.
Did you believe that you would be able to find evidence of a news report that he watched on that device?
If it was on there, yes.
Well, what does that mean if it was on there?
If he had viewed a news report on, I guess, children dying in vehicles or leaving your child in the seat, in the back seat or something like that, I would just expect it would be in the history files or some kind of file in that computer somewhere.
And what makes you think that would be there, a news report?
If he'd viewed it on the internet, you can go to the news websites and view the news through their website.
Well, you could do that on your computer in your office, correct?
Yes, you can.
But you didn't do that.
Then do what?
Go to your office and see if you could find any news report about child car deaths over the recent.
I don't know what one they watched. I just knew that he watched one.
I understand. My question is, did you investigate anything to see if there was one?
A news report?
Correct.
No, I didn't know if there was one or not, or when he had watched it or viewed it.
I got that. Did you do any investigation before going to seek a search warrant, look into their stuff?
Yes, they were interviewed, and we were getting the search warrant based on their interviews and what statements they had made regarding the investigation.
Again, for all these electronic devices, you didn't have any evidence that there was any, you didn't have any investigation that produced evidence for you to believe that secreted on any of these devices was some recording or plan or conspiracy or anything as relates to child cruelty or murder, correct?
We didn't know what we would find on the devices.
Exactly.
We were merely obtaining search warrants for all electronic devices in order to see if they had researched or viewed news stories on child deaths in vehicles, or how hot it gets in the vehicle, that nature.
Is it fair to say, Detective Murphy, that you thought it was okay just to go get a search warrant to look at anybody's personal stuff if you wanted to look at it for your investigation?
No, I had probable cause to obtain a search warrant to look at it.
Okay. Well, that probable cause never made it into the written affidavit, did it?
Yes, it did.
And it never made it into the oral testimony, did it?
It was in the written affidavit, and I had the oral testimony for this one would have been the beginning of all this, I believe it's 7 search warrants that I did in that group.
And that probable cause is that Mr. Harris and Ms. Harris had stated that they researched online deaths. Is that what you're indicating to this court?
In my affidavit, I say during an interview with Justin, he stated that he recently researched through the internet child deaths inside vehicles and what temperature it needs to be for that to occur. And that this was his biggest fear. Stated that he was fearful that this could happen. Leanna Harris also questioned regarding the incident, made similar statements regarding researching in-car deaths and how it occurs.
And that's what you offered to the magistrate as probable cause, that 1, a crime had occurred, and 2, there's a likelihood of finding evidence on these devices. That it?
That was my probable cause for looking through the electronic devices. I mean, I also have laid out what happened.
Right. And all that lays out is that Mr. Harris forgot his child in his car all day.
That's what he told us.
That's right. That's the only evidence that you had, correct?
No, it's not all the evidence we had.
It's all the evidence you told the magistrate about, I guess. Correct? Because that's all that's in the affidavit.
What's in the affidavit and what's in my oral testimony is what I told the magistrate.
Absolutely. And that was it, correct? You didn't tell the magistrate something else that somehow missed being recorded, did you?
No, it would have been recorded.
All right. Let's go to warrant 0611. It's for the iPhone that was located inside Mr. Harris's vehicle. Do you know where that was located inside the car?
I don't know, I didn't recover it from the vehicle. I think it was in like a computer bag or something, but I'm not positive.
You didn't have any evidence that Mr. Harris had actually used that phone, correct?
It was in his vehicle during the incident. I don't know if he had used it that day or not during work.
When you did the search of the car, you recovered the phone, correct?
I didn't do the search, but the phone was recovered during the search.
I appreciate it. You're right. It was recovered, and the serial number and the identifying information of that phone could be located, correct?
I believe so.
And did you seek to subpoena any records from a phone company to try to get any information about calls made, or if that phone's ever even used?
Yes, there was a court order done to get information from that phone.
Did you do that before you sought the search warrant?
No, that was done after.
All right. Again, the affidavit in 0611 is the same as the at least prior 4, correct? The written affidavit?
Yes, sir.
No changes in it, correct?
Correct.
Your oral testimony, however, do you recall what you indicated to the magistrate this time when she asked for your reason for searching this device?
Said Harris was seen using the phone during an incident. He has 2 phones. In the search, in case this was device being used, also related to statements Harris made regarding searching the internet, in-car child deaths, temperatures, how long it takes, any other search engines related to this.
Now, you're characterizing it as a internet search of in-car child deaths, and how long it takes in temperatures, correct?
It said searching the internet, in-car child deaths, temperatures, and how long it takes. And any other search engines related to this.
I have a question for you.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case on pending before this court, and all the, and that all the information in your application is and will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and your agency for the record.
Detective Shummer, Town County Police Department.
This is for docket number E010648. This is a companion case to application E010642. There was a lengthy oral testimony portion that was recorded in connection with that first application. For this application, you were asking to search the iPhone that was recovered from Mr. Harris's vehicle that he was driving through the execution of search warrant number 14SW0598. Is this correct?
Yes.
And you'll tell me the reason for the search of the iPhone?
Mr. Harris was seen using the phone during the instance, and then there were two phones in case this was the phone he was using related to search of that, and also related to statements he made about searching the internet regarding in-car child deaths and how long it takes, temperatures, and also to check the device to see if he had did some kind of internet search on that on this iPhone device, or any other search engine related to this.
When you note that oral testimony was given, received, and recorded, I do find that probable cause exists. I'm going to grant the search warrant. I'm going to stop the recording. Please sign your application.
All right. In less than a minute and a half, you got a warrant for Mr. Harris's iPhone, and you indicate to the magistrate you weren't even sure if this is the one he was using at the time during the incident, correct?
Correct.
Well, had you already gotten a search warrant for the phone that was taken from him, as you said, upon his arrest?
Yes, but witnesses said he was speaking on a phone, and then the police arrived and secured the phone. There was a chance that he could have placed the phone in the car and got a different phone out.
Did you have any evidence, any witness saying that he had gotten in and out of the car after he got Cooper out?
No,
Have any evidence that he had switched phones
not by any witness statements.
or by any other evidence? Did you have any evidence that he had used two different phones that day?
He has two different phones in his possession.
I understand that.
It would lead you to believe that he would use both phones.
Is that what it led you to believe?
Yes.
But you didn't have any evidence that you gave to the magistrate to prove that, correct?
I did. I told her he had two phones, and we were also looking for the searches regarding the child deaths on the internet.
And again, you didn't take it upon yourself to clear up to the magistrate any confusion about his having seen the only thing he saw on the internet was a vet talking about dogs in cars. You never made that clear to the magistrate.
In the first testimony in this group of search warrants, I mentioned animals.
In this group of search warrants, you think, or in the first group of search warrants?
In this group of search warrants. The first warrant, 0605. So that he done research on how long it takes and temperatures for animals or small children to pass away in vehicles.
And in fact, there had not been any claim at all about seeing anything about how long it takes for small children to pass away, correct?
The news stories, yes.
Well, the news story was about children, well, what he stated was he'd seen news stories about children dying in cars, not how long it takes for them to die, correct? Isn't it true that the only statement that he made was about a vet talking about how hot it gets and how quickly it gets that temperature?
He said he just watched a news report of a guy that did this just like me, and now he's an advocate.
Right,
Did this just like me.
right. Having forgotten his child in his car. Nothing at all of how long it takes or how hot it gets, correct?
And regarding the vet on the internet, showed you how hot it gets in a car.
As regards animals? Or did you even know if the vet was talking about kids or animals?
And since it's a veterinarian, I would assume animals.
But you didn't bother to look it up and see what it was before you went going to get search warrants, correct?
I didn't have enough information to pull the exact veterinarian show or whatever you would call it, YouTube video that he would have watched. That's why we're obtaining search warrants to try and locate it.
Did you ever happen to go to a Google site and plug in veterinarian death cars, see what would come up?
Not that they know.
Have you done it since then?
I haven't done it. I've sat with other detectives that have done it.
I got you. It's pretty quickly, easily found, correct?
If you know what specific video you're looking for.
Excuse me. All right. Now, we're going through the next set of warrants for the electronic devices. And what's changed now is the request as to what you want to look for has drastically changed, correct?
Yes, sir.
This is on June 24th.
Yes.
I'll give just 1 minute, make sure I can get these in order. And these next, is it 8 warrants, I believe? Excuse me, maybe 9? No. Let's see, 0633,
think it's gonna be-
634, 635, 636, 637, 638, 639. Next 7 warrants, you use the, where it indicates a list of certain property, articles, instruments to be searched for. This is where you have changed, well, you now have a new entry into that block, correct?
I'm sorry, where
Does
am
that
I
make
looking?
sense? Yeah, on the affidavit, the front page.
Yes, a list of certain property items. Yes, I see it.
And now it says that you're searching, you're going to go back through all these electronic devices, at least allegedly, to look for, search for information pertaining to finances, credit card debt, business information, life insurance, a financial category, if you will. And then you've got emails, communications regarding child, wife and family issues, photos, videos of the child to show development. And I'm grouping those. I know you don't necessarily group those, but I'm grouping those for our purposes of talking about them.
Okay.
And then you've got information about car seat searches, searches regarding in-car deaths. And then you've got communications with other people on the days leading up to and the incident date. And lastly, information on life insurance policies and any other information related to this incident. All right. Let's try to take those in those categories. I think it might help us move a little quicker. With regards to the, before we get too far, the affidavit itself, you now added some information to the affidavit of probable cause, correct?
Yes, sir.
And again, what has been added now is that after the first three paragraphs are the same, relating what happened that day that led to y'all coming to be aware of Mr. Cooper Harris's death, correct?
I think most of it is.
And then the next paragraph we now have is Harris was later transported to the CAP office. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right. And in this one, you changed the wording to say, according to Harris, he recently viewed a television show concerning child deaths in cars, correct?
Yes.
Now, again, Mr. Harris never indicated he saw a television show. He indicated he saw a news report, correct?
Yes.
Then he says, Harris also stated that he researched the issue of deaths in cars on the internet. And again, that's your term, research. He never used that term, correct?
Yes, it's my turn.
Then Harris's question regarding the car seat the child was seated in. He knew the specific make and model of the seat and what the weight limit was for the child to be seated in it. Correct?
Yes.
And then we actually have a statement regarding some investigation where it says, when the seat was inspected, the straps for the seat were set on the lowest level for a small child. Correct?
Yes.
Now, you don't indicate where that came from, but what was the source of that information?
Just inspecting the car seat.
Did you do that?
I looked at it later. I don't recall if I had done it before the search warrant or if it was after, but I remember looking at it.
Well, when you're giving a statement under oath to the magistrate that the seat was inspected and this was noted, where did that information come from?
I believe I had looked at the car seat along with other detectives.
Okay. So you're the source of that information?
I believe so.
Well, how much do you believe so? Could it be, could it not be? You just guessing?
I remember looking at the car seat, yes.
Before you got the search warrant?
I can't recall the exact day that I did look at it, but I remember looking at it.
So we don't really know exactly what the source of that information is at the time you got the search warrant, correct?
Either me or another detective.
All right. You then have two lines here about Mr. Harris talking about Cooper's development. He was developing fine, walking, talking, appeared to be a normal child for his age, correct?
Yes.
Had no evidence to counter that, correct?
That's what we're retaining the search warrant to, is confirm that.
Well, this is June 24th, is that right?
Yes.
And this is some 6 days since Cooper's death, correct?
Yes.
Did you go to the Little Aprons Academy to see any evidence or investigation about Cooper's development abilities?
Yes, we had gone to the daycare.
And had you gotten evidence indicating exactly what Mr. Harris said? He was developing fine.
I believe they said he was fine. They also said that they send emails and stuff like that through computers, updating them on what's going on at the daycare.
You didn't bother to tell that to the magistrate, correct?
I paraphrase it, and I don't know if it was in my oral testimony or not. We reference emails in the list of items that we're searching for.
All right, we'll get to that. You also got statements made by Mr. Harris about a new business he had started. His financial situation, correct?
Yes.
Claimed that he was happily married. And then you've got, nonetheless, evidence of inappropriate sexual communications with other women has been obtained. Now, what was the source of that information?
I was advised by Detective Stoddard and other detectives on that.
Did you have any idea where that came from?
I believe it was from the cell phone, his personal cell phone.
All right. And up to this point in time, you're the only one who's got search warrants for this case, correct?
Yes.
And each time you've talked to the magistrate when questioned, you've told them that you want to look for evidence of researching on the internet child car deaths, correct?
For the prior search warrants? Yes.
And when asked, and you've said specifically several times, and we just want to look for information related to that, correct?
On some of the items, yes.
And at no point in time has there been any request made by law enforcement or authorization by any magistrate to search for personal communications of a inappropriate sexual nature, correct?
I believe the search warrants for the phones ask for text messages, phone calls, that type of thing, regarding the day of the incident,
Right?
while the child was in the vehicle.
And we talked about that. Let's just review that just quickly. In search warrant 0599, that was your response when asked what type of data do you hope to locate. You said, we hope to locate text messages, phone calls to show what kind of day he had. Correct?
Yes.
Is that what you're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the next paragraph of the affidavit, again, you reference that Ms. Harris had also made a similar statement that this was her worst fear, and she stated specifically that her fear was that her child would be left in a hot vehicle, not the fear of losing a child. And Ms. Harris's statements, again, this is the one interview that we've talked about before, correct?
The day of the incident? Okay.
There's not been another interview that you're referring to here, correct?
No.
And she says, we talk about it a lot, that's been one of my biggest fears, it always has been. It's always been a big fear of mine. And it's your indication to the magistrate that she's not referring to the fear of losing a child. Is that what you mean by this?
That's what I was informed by the detective that did the interview, that her fear was of losing a child that way specifically, not just losing a child.
You then talk about surveillance video at Home Depot showing how Mr. Harris parked and going to lunch and coming back after lunch with the light bulbs, correct?
Yes.
And also showing him leaving the work that day and getting into the car and driving off, correct?
Yes.
And then you mentioned comments to family members about a life insurance policy.
Yes.
Now, when you talk to the magistrate about a life insurance policy, you don't have anything else about that in this written application other than what's right here, correct? That one statement. Through the investigation, Harris has made comments to family members regarding a life insurance policy that he has on Cooper, what they need to do in order to file for it, correct?
As far as written?
Correct.
Yes, that's all I have regarding that.
Do you think that you said anything in your oral testimony about that, separate from that?
I think it came up, I don't remember specifically what I said about it.
Well, you certainly recall you did not say that the whole issue of life insurance was raised by one of Mr. Harris's family members and not by him, correct?
I don't know who it was raised by, I was just given this information by the detectives that basically communications through jail calls or some nature like that he had brought up life insurance policies had come up.
Did you think that somehow that was incriminating? Is that why you put it in the affidavit?
No, I believe it had to do with motive.
Okay, so motive to commit a crime, that'd be incriminating, correct? In your lexicon?
Yes. I mean, if you're going to kill somebody and receive a large sum of money because you have a life insurance, that would be a motive.
Did you bother to tell the magistrate what the small amount of life insurance there was in this case?
I had no idea what it was. This was simply to search to try and locate what it was.
And you did not tell the magistrate that this was not at all Mr. Harris's suggestion, but in fact another family member asking him about it, correct?
I didn't know what the specific conversation regarding life insurance was. This is the information that was passed down to me.
Did somebody tell you to just put this in the affidavit because it'd help get the search warrant issued?
No, they said that there were comments made about life insurance policies and to add it to the search warrant.
You just weren't given any of the context of what was said? Someone
Just
told
that
you?
it had come up in conversation.
Did you question anything further before you put your name on the line under oath to a magistrate that, hey, what's the context of that? What does that really mean? Did you ask that question?
Nope.
And so it's fair to say that you then want to look through each of these devices, again, in hopes of just finding out whatever you can about the financial status of Mr. Harris, correct?
The reason for the financial status is also motive. What was his finances like? Money issues? And that comes down to, too, was there a life insurance policy?
You had no evidence that there was any financial information on a Dell 9200 tower computer, computer tower, correct?
I didn't know if there was financial information on there or not.
You had no evidence that there was any financial information on a Google Chromecast, correct?
People tend to keep financial information on computers and electronics.
Did they keep them on a Google Chromecast?
Probably not,
Because it's impossible, correct?
based on what the device is, and I now know, yes.
You didn't have any evidence that there was any financial information kept by Mr. Harris on a MacBook Pro, correct?
That would be a likely place to look if you're looking for finances. It would be a computer.
Okay. It'd be a likely place for the police to want to look into if they just want to see what someone's doing, correct? Including their financial doings.
Well, that's what we were searching for, finances. That was part of the search warrant.
And my simple question to you, Detective Murphy, is did you have any actual evidence ahead of time that gave you reason to believe that you actually told the magistrate that there's any of that evidence to be found on any of these devices?
Based on that, people commonly use electronic devices and internet access for banking. It would be a likely place to look for that information.
But you never told that to the magistrate, did you?
Specifically, they didn't ask me that question. Maybe they just assumed. I stated that we were searching for finances.
You didn't put it in writing, nor did you speak it, correct?
I wrote that we're searching for information pertaining to finances, credit card debt,
I understand that.
regarding finances. That's in the affidavit, or in the search warrant.
Yeah, it's in your request as to what you want to do. My question is as to evidence. Did you have any actual evidence that there was any of this information to be located on these devices prior to getting the search warrant that you told a magistrate about in written form or in oral form?
Regarding just finances,
That's what we're talking about right now.
that would be a likely place to look if you're trying to obtain that information. And we were looking at that as a motive, and that's why we're getting a search warrant for it.
Can I take that as a no, you had no evidence of that before seeking this search warrant?
I don't understand what you're saying.
The change in the affidavit to remove the language that alleged that Leanna Harris had been researching stuff, was that due to someone telling you, ooh, that's not really what she said, let's don't put it that way anymore? You recall?
I don't recall specifically for her.
But you're the one who drew that up, correct? I'm sorry. You're the one who prepared and typed out what would be on this affidavit application, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair to say that you took the one you already had and copied and pasted over, and then added stuff to it and made changes to it?
Yes, I did use the beginning, first two paragraphs I did use.
And so you would have had to actually intentionally remove that language that you had had in multiple prior warrants, that she stated that she researched these things.
I didn't copy that and then delete it. I copied the first 2 paragraphs, used that, and then wrote a new affidavit.
So you intentionally omitted that part that you had previously typed. Correct?
That was omitted from this search warrant, yes, it was.
And you changed the language. My question is, do you have any explanation for why all of a sudden you decided to change that language?
Regarding Leanna specifically?
That's correct.
Just that we were, several days after, we're able to review interviews and get more thorough information on what was said and get a more detailed statement.
She was not interviewed again, was she?
No.
What about Mr. Harris's information? Did you bother to check into what he really said to see if that could be more accurately stated?
Yes, I'd reviewed the interview.
So at that point in time, it's very clear, absolutely, he never said he researched the issue of deaths in cars, correct?
He didn't state that, but he said that he had looked at a vet video regarding how hot it gets in the car and had watched news reports of the guy that did this.
And you had no qualms about, even though he didn't state it, putting in your under oath application, he also stated that he researched the issue. That did not bother you?
No. He gained information, research. He gained information about deaths in cars on the internet.
Now, with regards to seeking emails, communications regarding his child, wife, and family, well, let me make sure I read that right. You have that in front of you, 0633. Indicates you're searching for emails/communication regarding child. Is that one
Emails.
phrase? You see what I'm talking about, third line down?
Yeah, regarding child, wife, and family issues, or regarding child.
That's what I'm, do all those go together, or is that
It could
two different things?
It can be separate.
Well, you tell me, the one you wrote it, what did you mean? Two separate things or one thing?
It could be separate.
Okay, well, which one did you mean? Or did you intentionally leave it vague?
So emails, communications regarding the child, the wife, and family issues.
Okay, so grouping them together, correct? I just want to make sure I
Child.
understand what you're trying to.
I would say separate.
Separate, okay.
But as far as emails, communications regarding, would refer to all 3.
Okay, all right. At the time that you were searching for that, you had no evidence of any emails or communication regarding child or wife or family issues, correct?
We knew that the daycare would send out emails about Cooper. And we also wanted to see any kind of communication between him and his wife on the day of the incident leading up to it. If this was discussed, if there was any family issues. In his interview, he stated that there was no family issues, and evidence of inappropriate behavior with other females was obtained.
Other than that last point, which we're not sure where that came from, but any of that other information that ever made it into your written application or your oral testimony?
I mean, the last.
Such as the Home Depot emailing people, and
I
where is
don't-
that?
I don't think it's in the written affidavit. I don't know if I mentioned it in the oral testimony or not.
All right, well, let's check that right quick. And did you do similarly with this one, the first warrant? You kind of gave an overview of information that was in use for the multiple warrants thereafter? Or do you recall?
Yes, this was done as kind of an overview for the following search warrants, to go along with the testimony for them.
I don't want to lose track of this. For the record, this is from states 23, the oral testimony, and this The label, the disc holder is labeled number 12. It's for 14 SW 0633.
All right, we are recording. Today is Tuesday. It is June 24, 2014. The computer indicates the current time is 10:33 p.m. I'm Judge Hicks. On video conference with me is Detective Murphy of the Cobb County Police Department, who is making an application for a search warrant. The search will be conducted on a computer, a Dell Dimension 9200 computer, currently at the Cobb Police Headquarters. Detective Murphy, do you swear or affirm the information contained in your application which you'll testify to about this matter of the truth?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Okay, tell me, how did you acquire this computer and what are you searching for on it?
The computer was acquired during a search warrant. See warrant number 14-SW0597 from Justin Harris's residence at 1212 Wines Ridge Circle, Marietta, Georgia. And basically, we already have one to search the computer, but we've acquired a lot more information since the warrant was obtained. So we're basically getting more details of what we're looking for, more specific, just based on all the information we've obtained since that warrant was secured.
Okay, and this appears to be that the thrust of this further search would be for financial records, insurance, things of that nature.
Yeah, financial records, insurance. Sees a message other women besides, during his interview, he claimed he was happily married. He's messaged other women, several of them, making sexual comments, different things to me. Whoever would like to look into that, and people to speak with. Just comments he made the day of and prior to these occurring.
Okay, and this concerns the death of his infant son. As I understand the case, who was left in a car seat in the back of his vehicle at his office.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is one of several computers that are owned by the defendant.
Yes, so we got several computers and other electronic devices. Different, I guess, search engine. I'm not electronically, that is electronic, just different computers, iPads, iPods, that type of thing. Do internet searches and that type of thing. Or communicate with others through messaging services.
Okay, and the basis for the search on the computers now, and expanding the search is to include this financial information, life insurance, etc., because of to basically get evidence concerning various details that he has and statements he has made, and in regard to his personal situation.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think you got a probable cause to search this computer for this additional information based on all of the details set out in your application as well as what you testified to. Please sign your application.
Okay, so
Okay, you've already sworn to what's contained in the application. Let me ask you to reaffirm that what's contained in the application, what you have now testified to, has all been the truth.
yes,
Please sign your search warrant as well. Okay, I've signed also. We can stop recording and print out the search warrant.
All right. The magistrate notes in his talking to you that basically it looks like y'all are trying to get his personal situation information. Did you note that?
His personal finances, something like that?
No. I have noted he specifically said his personal situation, which may include his finances, obviously, but I'm just asking if you noted.
I didn't note that specific statement, but I remember him referencing finances and personal finances.
Now, when you ask for these email communications regarding child, wife, and family, whatever information you already had at that point in time had come from his phone, I believe you said, correct?
Regarding,
Regarding the inappropriate communications, I think is how you labeled it.
yes,
You recall that? Okay. And so
I believe through the phone is how they obtained it. I don't know specifically how or what led them on that.
was there any further investigation into that prior to your getting this warrant regarding or running down that information, where that came from, how it's recorded, email provider, anything of that nature?
What are you regarding to, the device or?
Yeah, I'm talking about the information that you put in these affidavits. Evidence of inappropriate sexual communications with others. Okay?
Yeah, we did interview a female that had communicated with him that day.
All right. And did tell the magistrate about that, correct?
No, it's, the interview that we interviewed, somebody's done in there, just it references evidence of inappropriate sexual communications with other women has been obtained.
Let me back up. That communication, are you indicating that that was electronic communication or that was personal communication?
What do you mean, like?
Well, I'm talking to you personally, I'm not talking to you electronically. If we had texting devices, we'd be communicating electronically. That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
we were obtaining the search warrants for like electronic texting or that type of nature. There's different, like Kik website, different names, Facebook, that you can communicate through that stuff over the internet.
I'll move on. Inasmuch as you're seeking emails, communications regarding child, wife, and family issues, you did not have any indication of the magistrate as to how you would limit your search for those specific issues, correct? In other words,
No, we didn't lay out how we would be able to limit it,
all right.
just that we're searching the devices for that information.
And you didn't have any way to your knowledge that you would ever be able to limit it unless you just looked at it all to see what it was, correct?
You could look at specific things and say that this isn't related to, you know, I guess if you're looking at emails and you get an email, you buy something online, they send you these junk emails, there wouldn't be any reason to look at that email.
Okay.
As opposed to if we're looking at, he gets an email from the daycare for his child that day or another day, or from his wife or something like that. Or from one of these other girls, if they're communicating through emails.
So you could have, of course, you're not asking for any girls, you're talking about child, wife, and family issues.
I would say family issues would fall into that section.
And that's what you would say. But you didn't say anything to the magistrate to limit that as to what your definition was, correct?
I did inform him that there was evidence of inappropriate sexual communications with other women,
Right.
and that he had claimed that he was happily married in his interview, and then we discovered that this is going on.
And did you
I
take
I would say that it's family issues.
would you take those two things being mutually exclusive? Is that your assumption? Someone,
What-
Kind of object to the relevance of what the detective assumptions are, or I think getting the far field of the question of probable cause and what information was relayed to the magistrate court as the basis for the search warrant.
Let me rephrase, Judge. I think maybe I'll satisfy the state's objection. What you put in the affidavits regarding these inappropriate communications, you never told the magistrate in written form or in oral form the source of that statement, correct?
In written form, I don't believe I ever stated the evidence of inappropriate sexual communication with other women has been obtained. I never stated where we specifically got that from in the written form. I don't believe it was in any of the oral testimony.
So you never told and informed the magistrate the source of that information, to your recollection?
Yes, to my recollection, I don't.
Searches regarding in-car deaths, one of the things that you asked for, again, you're relying upon what we've talked about multiple times now is what you label as research, correct?
Yes, research and also viewing the news shows.
Now, you also asked for communications with other people on the days leading up to the incident date. Did you have any limitation to that? In
As
other
far
words,
as a date,
well, that'd be a good start.
no, it was communication with others on the incident date and the days leading up to it.
You wanted to check anybody you might have talked to, emailed, texted, chatted, whatever it was, at any point in time to see what evidence they might have that you might decide to use, correct?
We wanted to see who we were speaking with leading up to this, yes.
And for how long leading up to this? A day?
I would say several months
Several months?
to a year, maybe even longer.
But
If he's talking to these females on the day of the incident and they have been communicating for a year to a year and a half, I would want to know what the extent of their relationship is as far as a motive for wanting to do this.
But we don't have any evidence of that before the magistrate, do you? That he was talking to any of these people on this day? Or the day of the incident?
That's stated to the magistrate? I don't believe it's stated to the magistrate.
Right.
It just says evidence of inappropriate sexual communications
Right.
with other women.
It's just a conclusory statement that you made without giving any indication of the source, correct?
I'm merely stating in my affidavit that there is evidence of inappropriate sexual communications with other women, which we've obtained, and that he had made a statement that he was happily married, and there's assuming no issues with his marriage based on his interview.
You recall at some point, one of the magistrate judges actually questioning you about this broadness of how just any communications he's had with anybody leading up to this. Do you recall that?
I remember that coming up. I'm trying to think which warrant it was for.
And we'll get to it specifically, I'm sure, eventually. I'm just wondering if you recall that, just in your review of this.
I remember questioning the broadness, and I believe that they were referencing the end of the last statement I have in the, is referring to any other information related to this incident, as questioning the broadness of that statement.
All right, well, that's true too. All right, we'll get to it, Again, with the Google Chromecast device, of course, it's pretty clear, you just didn't understand what that was at the time you were seeking this search warrant, correct?
Correct?
The MacBook Pro and the Lenovo 530 located within the residence. again, you had no,
I think the MacBook Pro was, the Lenovo was from the vehicle.
well, there's multiple, there's two different Lenovo's, correct?
There's this one, there's one, if you're numbering the search warrants, it'd be like number 28 or 29 is the next Lenovo.
Absolutely, but let me just stay on track. I'm trying to jump ahead, trying to be a little quicker.
That's
but
fine.
That's not good for me. 0634, which is for the Google Chromecast. We mentioned that, you did not know what that was. 0635, this is for a MacBook Pro. This is for one found in residence or one found in the vehicle.
This would have been the one from the residence.
Sorry. 063.
0635 would be the one from the residence.
Very good. All right, that's what I'm And again, we're dealing with the same, you use the same affidavit now for these group of warrants as we've already discussed, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this MacBook Pro, you have no evidence at the time that you see the magistrate indicate that Mr. Harris ever used it or possessed it, other than, of course, well, it was in his house, so he possessed it in his house. And you had no evidence he'd actually ever used it, communicated with it, researched on it, anything of that nature.
It's in his residence, in his possession. And
I think I said that.
we would believe that he would have used it.
Okay. You believe, did you have any evidence that he had used it, as opposed to all these other electronic devices in his car?
It was secured in his residence during the execution of a search warrant.
I understand that. My question is, did you have any evidence that he had actually used it to design for use in the commission of, intended for use in the commission of, or use in the commission of, or tangible evidence of the commission of the crime of homicide or cruelty to children in the second degree?
Judge, I think it's been asked and answered.
How's that to you, Mr. Washington? I mean, that,
Well, it certainly hasn't been answered at all. He keeps repeating information I'm giving him in my question. I'd like him to answer it.
It may not be the answer he wants, but it certainly has been answered.
yep,
He's given a response that's non-responsive. I'd ask the court to direct the witness to respond to the question.
no, I think you can argue it, and it's a credibility issue. Or at least that's my ruling.
I'll agree, it's a credibility issue, Judge. Thank you. The 0636 warrant, this is for the Lenovo 530. This from his residence or from his car?
I think it's going to be,
What was the correction, how much longer on this topic will this?
I think we're about through with this set of warrants, Judge.
Well, why don't we wrap it up and go? Will that work for you?
That would be great.
this was secured from the vehicle.
Thank you. In your oral testimony to the magistrate as to this warrant, you mentioned, did you not, that Mr. Harris had used some computers for his business? Or at least you believed he would use computers for his business? You recall that or have that noted?
I think the judge makes, is it where the judge makes a statement, this is the fourth computer you have seized, and says something about that's a lot of computers? I said, yes, he works with computers. Some of these computers are business computers, but he brings them home.
Right. Now, this one was found in his vehicle, so you know at least that he would leave work with it, and at least he did that day, correct?
Yes?
But you had no evidence whatsoever that he actually had used this computer for business purposes, correct?
This computer?
Yes, sir.
We believe that the computers in his, or electronic devices in his vehicle, such as the computers, were used for work. And we had spoken with his employers, and they said that they do work from home at times.
Nowhere is that in the affidavit, written form, correct?
No.
And nowhere is that in the oral testimony, correct? At least not for this warrant.
State that he works with computers. Some of these computers are business computers, and state that he brings them home.
You stated that he brings them home, or he stated that he brings them home? Or do you know?
Well, I stated in the testimony that he brings them home, and we obtained that information by talking to Home Depot.
All right. You didn't tell the magistrate that, correct?
I said that he brings them home. I didn't say that I'd spoken with Home Depot, and that's where I got the information.
The source of that information. All right. But clearly, you had no evidence whatsoever that he was using this computer to hide a crime of child cruelty or homicide, correct?
No, he'd made statements that he'd watched the news video and the vet video with the hot car, and we're checking the computer for that research, and also regarding finances, credit card debt, business info, life insurance. These would be motive things. Emails and communications about the child development. That little the daycare sends out emails. Did he get an email that day while the kid's in the vehicle?
Did you ask
The
Home
wife,
Depot that?
family issues.
Did you ask Home Depot if they sent an email out to him that day?
I don't know what was discussed during an interview with the daycare. I just remember that they mentioned that they send out emails. I don't know if we asked them or we're just going to go off the search warrants.
When was that information obtained?
Before the search warrant was obtained. I can't say specifically what day.
But before June 24th,
About the emails?
correct?
Yes.
And you didn't bother to tell the magistrate about it?
I put that we're searching for emails and communication about the child.
I understand that. At no point did you tell the magistrate, hey, Home Depot's told us they sent emails out, and they might even have a record of it, and we've actually seen it to see what it says.
It's not in the written affidavit. If they asked me, it might be in the oral testimony, but I don't remember if that was asked.
Do you have any note of that ever being said? You reviewed it, I reviewed it. You show that that was ever said to the magistrate?
What's that?
Do you show any evidence that that was ever told to the magistrate? That information of Home Depot sending out emails?
Prior to this search warrant? No.
All right. I think it's probably good stopping.
Is it a
point.
big question? We'll recess until 9 in the morning. Everyone have a good evening.